very excited. Today is Thursday, May 19th, 2022. I was going to say 2021. It's not 2021. And we've got some notes. Version 1.0.3.0a. So, latest update. Going to be two methods in which we deliver updates to players. One will be the weekly changes that will cover smaller adjustments, aka, the hotfix. And the other will be downloadable updates to the game, which will include more impactful bug fixes and changes, which is perfect. The changes in this update will be live 9:30 a.m. Pacific time on May 19th, which is today. As always, to confirm that you've got the most recent hotfix, pause your game, check the little bottom corner, restart your game. If you have any issues, contact support and let me know because I will help you call them out. Okay, downloadable update is in support for content drop from the season pass. Glutton's Gamble. Holy shit. Okay, so we're getting a DLC. They've added vending machines to the loot room at the end of the Chaos Chamber. Each vending machine has a legendary of the week for sale that will change every Thursday, which is amazing. Usually when you're, in the loot room and you end up having to leave a whole bunch of stuff on the floor because, you've only got so much space in your inventory, right? So it's really cool that they've added a vending machine to the end of the Chaos Chambers because now you can sell off all of the crap that you weren't going to take with you that you'd otherwise lose out on. Mission reward gear is now more likely to show up in standard vending machines. The throwable hole can now drop with enchantments and can be enchanted at the reroller. Mission rewards can drop as enchanted and can be enchanted at the reroller. Super cool. Mushroom Healer has completed their mushroom trials and has been found worthy of a name, Mike, which is an okay name for a mushroom. I'm very excited. Mike the Mushroom. Alright, in addition, here's some changes that have been made from feedback to the community. So, they fixed some crashes. Let me see. Occasional crash that would occur when switching between display modes. Tabbing after search for a shift friend. Quitting to desktop after character creation. Using the randomized character button to multiple times quickly. Switching the mail menu to the social menu. I have crashed many times switching from mail to social. So I'm really glad that they've fixed some of these crashing issues. And I'm really excited to see it actually be implemented. The following reported concerns have been addressed. Storm Surge would not drop from the world loot pool. It was a dedicated drop only before the change. Threads of Fate Fell would not properly heal Fatemakers while doing dark magic damage. Counter Feint would occasionally allow players to not be targeted by enemies for longer than intended. Achievements were not being consistently awarded for Walk the Stalk, Trial of Crooked Eye Phil the Ditcher, and the Completionist is next to Godliness. Yes, I've noticed. I've done Walk the Stalk and the Trial of Crooked Eye Phil a couple times now, and have not on two of my characters gotten the rewards, the achievements for that. So it'll be nice that things are being fixed, like achievements not being consistently awarded. Potential blocker could occur while saving loading. Mobley Dick's mission item would occasionally fall out of bounds and then be lost forever, which is no fun. Nobody wants their hero to be lost forever, so I'm glad they're fixing that. Prevented a drawbridge and Bright Hoof from closing after Valentine had gone through the effort of seducing it to open. Progression blocker during Walk the Stalk if a picker. Yep, I had that happen to me a couple times where you couldn't progress. So for Walk the Stalk, that's fixed. It seems like they fixed a lot in Tangle Drift, which is really cool. I noticed that a couple weeks ago they also fixed some of the falling through the floor and stuff too. Barrel would occasionally disappear for some Fatemakers during break ingredient X barrel. I can't tell you how long I spent searching for that barrel just for it to suddenly appear and then it was there. Added an enemy scaler for Chaos Chambers to increase the number of enemies that appear in co-op. Chaos Trial would not automatically update the level. That was really frustrating because there was a lot of people I know who would be stuck at a certain level and would have to repeat it a couple times in order for it to actually progress them like they should have been. Unless dungeon altars would occasionally subtract crystals from player. Oh, yeah. So we actually would, like, a few of us that play all the time together would ask each other, hey, do we need ammo? Or hey, do we need this? Because if we don't, we're not gonna steal your crystals, because it wouldn't take crystals away from the person who is doing it. It would take crystals away from everybody else. So I'm so glad that they fixed that. Some instances where a Fatemaker would not save as expected and revert to a previous state. Frustrating, glad they fixed that. Instances of items duplicating unintentionally. Prevented players from unintentionally deleting characters. Issues related to reporting players from the roster menu. Fatemakers that joined game during the table introduction still had their HUD visible. UI adjustments. So the rest of that stuff is, sound, telemetry, audio, visual, stability, good quality of life improvements, which I'm really excited for. And I'm glad to see it. I'm glad that they've, they're taking us seriously and they're listening to us. It feels nice to be listened to. DLC would occasionally appear at incorrect entrance. Fatemakers would be able to enter a portal early and encounter a progression blocker. They did fix some stuff in DLC 1 as well, so that'll be really nice. We'll see how that works out when we actually go back and play the game. Class adjustments. All right, lads and ladies, let's see what we've got. Berserker would not stay enraged when multi-classed into Graveborn and using the Reaper of Bones action skill. I noticed that Berserker doesn't stay enraged as long as they should, not just with Graveborn, but, with other classes. However, I'm glad that they recognize that it was a problem. Spore Warden's Mushroom Pet would not clean up after itself if you're using the Mushroom Spore attack. Oh, it was supposed to clean up after itself? Well, maybe we won't step on poop. Clawbringer Storm Smite would not properly switch between fire and shock. The spots on Storm Smite would have been corrected to also match their expected visuals and damage type. Graveborn's Faithful Thrall's skills bonus would occasionally stack indefinitely. Kill skill Harvest could be unintentionally stacked indefinitely. Sabomancer's follow-up stacks would trigger unintentionally with the chain lightning effect. Okay, so they also adjusted Spore Warden's enchantment from receiving a chance for an explosion on gun and ability damage to have the chance only with gun damage. So they fixed that. Okay. A Blast Chill and Blast Gas for Graveborn could overlap and scale damage out of the anticipated range in the end game when combined with other damage scaling. So they've adjusted to award a chance to release a Nova on melee attacks instead of on all melee damage sources. Savagery has been increased to doing 6 per point for melee damage. Damage received from attacks when close to enemies while using the old ways has been reduced to 40%. Iron Squall melee attack speed has been increased to 4%. Okay, cool. So Berserker seems to be doing well. Spore Warden, Wrath of Nature has been adjusted to do 10% increased damage, increased affinities, ability damage to reward 9% to give additional power in early game, and they increased Bullseye's critical hit chance to 12% per point. Clawbringer. Alright. They changed Cleaning Flame action skill to do fire melee damage instead of just melee damage. Well, that makes sense because it's a fire attack, right? Oz critical hit chance to 13%. Oz critical damage to 7%. Dedication action skill cooldown rate with max ward to 6%. Dragon Aura elemental damage to 5%. Rebuke? I don't know how to say that word. And I bet you Alex could leave that in the YouTube video. To 4%. Oath of Thunder bonus melee damage to 6%. Wow, okay, so they've buffed a lot of our Fatemakers, which is amazing. For Graveborn, they've adjusted Blast Gasp to 7% to compensate for additional bug fixes to the skill. Harvest bonus, dark magic damage, 5% up to 30% total stacks. Stain of the Soul to deal 5% bonus dark magic damage. Sabomancer also increased Ethereal Blade melee damage to do 150% of your melee weapon. Holy shit! Ghost Blade weapon damage to 85%. Wowzer Bowser! Spell shot adjusted double knot to do 4% of gun damage. So, that's pretty badass. This week, we've got some time-limited mini events starting today until June 2nd. So the mini event is Armor Up. Increase the chance for armor to drop and a chance for the class mods to be for your current character. Due to classes being distributed between light, medium, and heavy armor types, Fatemakers are still likely to find plenty of armor that fits other classes at average of a rate of 1 out of 3. For best results, pair up with friends to match your class. Cool. Chaos Chambers featured runs have been updated and the leaderboard has been reset. And so this week it will be like an extended run, so we'll have 2 obelisk bosses and then 2 like bosses. So the obelisk bosses plural are Oculus and Mushroom Monster. Also, some important changes to note. They've adjusted the Wheel of Fate to drop more items along with moon orbs and gold, removed redundant quest markers for the Slayer of Volcanar, removed the damage scaling increase from Hawkins' Wrath from the May 5th hotfix. This had to be removed to address a crash that we saw impacting Xbox players. So they're going to figure out how to properly address this in a future patch. And hey, Gearbox, I'm very thankful that you said that you're going to this acknowledgement is all we need as a player base, as people who love the game. That's all we need. Just say, hey, we're working on it. Easy as pie. And then we got you. We'll support you. We'll say great. Anywho, Frost weapon. I love Frost weapons. Okay, Frost does damage over time, but we found some Frost-only guns like the liquid cooling were mistakenly balanced as if that was not the case. So they'll be adjusting those weapons upwards so that they still roughly deal the same amount of damage. Queen's Cry specifically was mistakenly nerfed because elemental damage was included, but not during balancing. It's having its damage increase to compensate for that mistake. They're intending to adjust Fragment Rain in a later hotfix after we have a look at the SMG balance for Chaos Chambers. So, for Frost damage, they've adjusted Frost damage scaling for guns by minus 5.9%. They increased liquid cooling damage by 7.8%, and Queen's Cry damage scaling increased by 22.3%. And I'm really happy with that. I love the Queen's Cry. My Frost Queen's Cry is like literally my go-to on my Berserker build, so I'm really thankful that they gave us some good bonuses for that. I also want to say that I'm very thankful that they made acknowledgements and have said in these notes for the people who read them, the people like me who make videos, hey, we hear you, we are, going to fix this, but we just can't right now, and you know what, that's great. That communication, that level of acknowledgement, I think is excellent and it's important, and I just want them to keep doing that. Keep doing that, because that's how you get people to stick around. So with that is all for today's patch notes.